Can't sell a 4-burner gas, a 3-burner gas stove in AP Telangana. Okay, they consider it as inauspicious. So this category is such, so you need to understand those nuances. Our kitchens becomes a lab actually. Okay, so there are fixed people who get around, take it to the home, give initial feedbacks over there. Then we go into the market testing over there. So that's the first phase before we launch any product. Many things, consumers might not be able to say themselves, but your channel partners will talk about it, your dealer will talk about it. We'd want to come out of your mom's brand rather than to become your brand.
Hello and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, a series of one-on-one conversations with top brand and marketing leaders who share their industry insights and strategies that have helped shape their stories. This series, hosted by Hindustan Times, offers a behind-the-scenes look at how leaders adjust their strategies for changing consumer behavior while leveraging media channels that improve customer relationships. Today we have a very interesting person with us. From automotive to lighting, paints to appliances, Anil Gurnani brings a rich and diverse perspective to sales and marketing. As the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer at TTK Prestige, he is at the helm of innovation, digital transformation, and consumer-centric strategy in a dynamic and competitive market. Welcome to the show, Anil.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Let me ask, what's cooking?
Lots of things are cooking actually.
Awesome. So who's the chief chef in the house today?
Chief chef remains my wife still. Okay, I'm just a helper or a support on the weekends.
That's good to know. How do you borrow insights? Do her friends bother you? Tell us, or you bother them, asking them what are they cooking and what do they need?
Maybe it's the other way actually. So definitely friends, families, and also wherever I go, that's the hottest topic. Okay, and mainly what has happened after coming to this organization, my interaction with ladies have increased actually.
Absolutely.
So the women of the house, the chefs of the house, okay, over there. So we keep on interacting over there, and that gets the insights over there.
Absolutely.
So one is what you cook yourself and
Yes.
you get the insight, and speaking to the consumers actually give you those insights.
So what do you enjoy cooking most of the time? if you do attempt.
So normally I cook majorly on the weekends on the breakfast. So idli, vadas, dosas over there, and something other things. Okay, French toast and all that stuff.
So this must be taking you back to your formative years, your younger days as a student, probably when you were living alone. Take us through that.
Yeah, so definitely post my engineering, so I have been in the hostel. So so those days definitely, though the mess was there definitely, but you need to have some cooking being done. Then what happened after that, I did my MSc Finance from Paris. So I was there for around a year over there. For an exchange program. So definitely over there, at that time at least, you don't get Indian food. Okay, it's 20 years back. So definitely you need to cook. So we were some 3-4 people over there, and I was the chef of the group over there. So it started from there actually, the cooking.
So what is your conversation like with your team nowadays? Do you encourage your team to also try their hand at cooking so that they understand what difficulties one faces in the kitchen?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a clear-cut mandate actually, mainly the product managers and the category managers definitely, because if you're not able to use that, the best insight is when you use it over there. So one is definitely you speak with the consumers, but majorly, so in fact, in our organization, whenever a new appliance or a new category you develop, so our kitchens becomes a lab actually. Okay, so there are fixed people who get around, take it to the home, give initial feedbacks over there. Then we go into the market testing over there. So that's the first phase before we launch any product.
So tell me one appliance that is a go-to appliance when you enter the kitchen that I can't do without this. It's an open canvas. Tell us, what are those?
I would say in kitchen definitely cooking appliances. So for example, your gas stoves and induction cooktops. Yeah. These are definitely your go-to, because without them you can't do anything. And the kind of transition that's happening from gas stoves to induction cooktops, that's also amazing actually. Still the adoption rate of induction cooktops is not that much, but definitely is going to get increased over there. So that is one thing that's always a basic need of any kitchen.
So Anil, I just want to touch upon the various stints you've had across these industries. Every industry obviously has its own template or blueprint in order to reach consumers. What are the learnings from them that you're applying, or you feel that there's a learning in every new sector and you can't, you have to find your own space?
See, what I believe is definitely 70-80% learnings are from your previous organizations. So the 20-30% definitely you learn because that industry dynamics are different. So for me, every stint of my career has been a learning phase, okay, and I believe that whatever I have learned during that time, I'm applying over here still. So started my journey with sales because I feel that's a basic thing that you start after my MBA doing my sales. So selling trucks, okay, going into trucks for 3-4 days, distributing pamphlets into the all that bus depots, the depot stands and all. So that was a good learning, how the sales happens, how you interact with a truck driver, how you interact with a fleet owner. Okay, so those, and I believe those have gone a long way, and I still believe that those have made my foundation strong of sales stint. Then I went to Asian Paints as an RSM, regional sales manager for West. So definitely that has its own learning. Then my shift happened to the marketing career. So I have been in various facets of marketing, starting from product marketing, then the category head, then into the trade marketing head, then the CMO of Butterfly. Now here, as of now, as a sales and marketing and the service head for the organization. So definitely there are learnings of the industries, but basic remains the same. At least in the sales and distributions front, the basic remains the same. The reach, distribution, ND, WD, you talk the same things over there.
I want to comment on your experience in a way, as in, because sales is all about market intelligence, and marketing team relies on that marketing intelligence to cater. So do you still pester your sales teams? Get me the market intelligence, tell me what's happening on the ground.
Yeah. So in fact, that's because see, at least I have gone through that phase of sales over there. And I believe, see, the consumer insights is something the marketing team get into. But I believe for success of the organization, both consumers and customers are important. Now, what I mean by is consumer is something who uses your product. Customers are your channel partners and the dealers over there. Right. Okay, so those are also key pillars, okay, for your insights. So many things, consumers might not be able to say themselves, but your channel partners will talk about you, your dealer will talk about it. So I keep on, right now also asking my marketing team, the sales team to be on the ground over there. I myself, at least travel 7 to 10 days in a month. Still, every week I travel to at least one market over there, because I feel when I come from there, I feel, lots of things are to be done. When you sit in office, you feel you have achieved everything. Okay, but when you go out, definitely there are lots of learning every time you go to the market.
You have become a good journalist, because journalism is also about going in the field and reporting from on ground. So that's good to hear. I want to further touch upon some of the lessons that you've learned, and how are you transferring them into this kitchen appliance sector? Can you call out a few of those learnings?
See, learnings, I would say, there are, definitely when in your entire career, so there are some, hits and there are some misses as well. So definitely that misses are also important. Correct. So I always believed, and in fact told my team, don't worry about the misses. If you are 80% confident, implement it. You will learn through the time. Okay, don't wait for that. 100% it has to be accurate and then go to the market. So if you're 80% confident, go ahead. So definitely you have learnings over there. For example, I would say when I was in Crompton, I launched some anti-back, anti-lamp. So it was the greatest of the technology, the most innovative bulb in the entire world, wherein it kills bacteria. Okay, antibacterial LED lamp. So that was a big product, big hit product. But definitely I would say, maybe our GTM was not right at that time. The communication was not that strong over there. So the believability we wouldn't be able to create into the market. So, that's the reason maybe the idea was good, innovation was good, consumer inciting was right, everything was right, but the GTM maybe probably didn't went that right over there. So those are certain learnings, okay, so you carry on, so you have that, and you need to understand, and now with this new age of channels and all, which product, which channel. So it's gone are the days, 20-25 years back, it was only the general trade, 80-90%. So you have to develop all the products for general trade, launch it, and give the same product to the e-com or to any other channel over there. Now it has changed a lot. every channel has its own needs. In fact, now also when we look at the NPD process, it's basically channel specific. So it is not something that you have launched something for general trade and you are giving it to the same product to the e-com or to a quick commerce or so. So we work on the requirements because the consumers, our cohorts are different on all these channels. So we work on those insights, bring back on the table what that channel needs and launch the particular product into a particular channel. Because over here, what I believe is that Prestige as an organization, I feel we have a good advantage because we are present across channels, across geographies. In kitchen appliance, that's the reason why we are the leaders. The number 2 player is less than half than us. Just because we are present across geographies, we are present across channels. 20 years back, we started our exclusive stores. Okay, at that time, just imagine Big Bazaar and all were also not there. So hats off to the team at that time who started it. So the starting at that, the exclusive stores, now we have close to 800 stores pan India level. So that also gives us a strategic advantage. So you should know which product, where to launch, where to display it and where it will go well. So these are definitely some learnings that you build on over the time. Though the core remains, it's consumer insights, innovation, but definitely the execution will depend.
Of course, that's very nicely said. Being number 1 is not easy. So I'm going to ask you, what's your secret sauce when I say, what are the pillars of your strategy when it comes to driving innovation and growth? Anil, I'm sure you guys are also looking things in the future. So can you share some insights on that?
So I think the core remains one, keep the consumer and the customer both at the center place. Okay, so definitely listen to them.
So that foundation
that is definitely because you need to know, and more importantly what's happening in the kitchen appliance, it is much more important because the consumers are so much involved into the category. Okay, it actually relates to their culture. Okay, the needs of the consumer in terms of appliances changes based on geographies, religions, hypotheses, beliefs, everything. Okay, just to give an insight, for example, you can't sell a 4-burner gas, a 3-burner gas stove in AP Telangana. Okay, they consider it as inauspicious. Okay, so they need either a 2-burner or a 4-burner. In cooker is a cooker, but when you go to north, it is an inner lid cooker, and when you go to a south, it is an outer lid cooker. Okay, and you can't change their habits, whatever you tell them. Okay, that's the culture they have been brought into. There is no advantages or disadvantages, or I would say both are equal. But okay, but that's the way of habit they have been over there. So you can't change that over there. So this category is such, so you need to understand those nuances over there. South will have a 750 or 1000 watt mixer grinder with the food processor. North will more into 500 and 750 watt. It also depends on the kind of kitchen space that you have, or the needs that you have. So outer lid cooker is just because in South they cook up 2-3 dishes, a dal and a sambar and a rice at one time. In North it is not like that. You cook rice separately, your dal separately over there. So it all depends on the innate culture, the beliefs that you had, and your needs for the appliances also changes. So that brings us into a very challenging situation sometimes, and that also brings up to the mix of the team that you should have. So we always believe, because we are a pan-India organization, we want to be number 1 in all the geographies over there. So the mix of the team as well matters over there. So they should have that nuances and the cultural beliefs of both north and south over there. So that is also one thing that we take care of over there. And communication also, you can't have one standard communication.
Sure.
Okay, you have to have geography-led. Wet grinders are not sold out of south. Okay, it's only in south that you sell wet grinders. Rice cookers you will sell only in AP Telangana TL. So there are so many such nuances that you need to cater to. So while devising a scheme, your communication, your print ads, everything, you need to take care of it over there. You can't go wrong over there.
So Anil, I also want to touch upon, obviously being number 1 is as I said earlier, it's not being easy. So when it comes to competition, how are you ensuring that you're ahead of them by getting the consumer insight before you? Because consumer trends keep changing. Every 5 years, technology is changing, their behavior is changing. So how are you managing that?
So you're right. So it has become more and more challenging in the last 5-10 years. See, because what's happening is the competition is into one category in one geography. Okay, so they are maybe strong in that, and so a competition might be strong into a D2C channel. Some might be strong in only e-com channel. Some might be strong only in GT channel. So, but we are a brand because we are the number one. So we are present all across. So you keep on fighting channel specific, geographic specific, different brands. So you don't have. If I really look at it, if I can't call out, these are my 2-3 major competitors. Because every category has a different competition for me. In fact, in that category, different geographies have a different competition for me over there. So definitely that's quite challenging, but I believe, hearing to the consumers is the crux of whatever you do and said and done. And most importantly, one is innovating and hearing, but another thing is the execution excellence as well. See, because you can hear, you can do everything, okay, but if your execution is not, right, and we believe innovation is not only about new product development. Innovation is in everything, in the processes that you adopt, the sales strategy that you adopt, okay, the kind of analytics that you adopt. It's a kind of ease of doing business for your channel partners that you do over there. How ease friendly usage you are with the consumers and to the channel partners. All those things depends over there. So that remains the core of the organization, because we have believed that wherever we will be in any of the categories, we will only be there if we are adding value to that category. So wherever we feel we will be just as a Me Too brand, okay, we are not going to add, so we don't get into that category. Sure. So that's why if you really see wherever categories we are in, cookers for example, so we got that GRS technology, wherein the first kind of innovation that made the cookers safe in India, and the adoption increased over there. Now we never patented it because we wanted everyone to adopt it. Over there, so that the adoption of the cookers increased into the market. That we have in Swachh concept we got in cookers, and because that was one inside of convenience and cleaning, easy cleaning. So we got Swachh concept into gas stoves, liftable burners. Over there, we in cookers we got a spill-free lid. The spillage doesn't come out over there. Number 3, we got induction cooktops. We were the first one to get induction cooktops in India 20 years back. And in that also, some innovations like, whistle counting induction cooktop. So the induction cooktop, can count your whistles of the cookers and keep it warm after that. So these are certain kinds of insights. So we believe that wherever we will be, we'll be able to, wherever we feel that we'll be able to create value, we'll be over there. Rather than we can just read to the competition.
True. But then you also need to expand to new consumer segments. So if you are, how are you measuring these new consumer segments that are evolving over the coming years, and how are you employing your strategy to cater to these new consumers, because you've not served them. There's no blueprint of serving these new consumer segments.
So definitely you are right. See, what is happening is if I would have seen 20-30 years back, the TG would have been typically a kind of a female of maybe 35 to 50 or 35 to 60 kind of a TG that the organization would be looking at. Right now, honestly, that's not the TG. That TG has expanded. One, the male has also come up, so it's not only about the women that are cooking, but there are quite a good male that are getting cooked. Other thing is early people are adopting to the kitchen appliances very early to their age as well. So our TG now has become 25 to 60, male, female both. Yeah. So because the categories that we are now got into, for example, induction cooktop, kettles, all these are categories where people in PGs, in hostels have started interacting with the brand, and if you don't catch them young, otherwise it will honestly, and that's one of the transitions that we are getting into, wherein we want to come out of your mom's brand rather than to become your brand.
Right.
Okay, and that I think the transition every brand which has been for a long years into the industry goes through it. So it has been a 75 years for Prestige as a brand. So as a heritage brand, so you want to keep that core of culture of heritage, right? But you want to make the brand relevant to the younger cohorts also. Correct. So that's the transition, that we are going through right now.
Got it. If I have to further deep dive into the competition part, you have domestic competition, but now you have global competition also coming in. But then again, this is our reading that domestic brands have an edge because they understand the Indian consumer better. Case in point, say McDonald's, IKEA didn't have a good run when they started off. Obviously, that's not a benchmark for global brands, but clearly, do you also believe that Indian brands will obviously have an edge?
See, definitely. See, as I talked about, the category is such involved for the consumer over there. So you need to understand the basic crux and the culture and the beliefs of the consumers. If it would have been, because I have been in various different categories as well in my earlier organizations, in fans, lights, maybe over there that didn't matter over there. But this category definitely requires your correct understanding of the consumer beliefs and all. You can be MNC player and get those insights, I'm not doubting that, but definitely with a domestic player, you get that edge over there. Only thing is, what happens when you are an MNC or outside player, if you can get into a technology-led some innovation over there, okay, that makes. But many, I have seen, many innovations or technology that brings from outside doesn't cater to the needs of the Indian consumers. So you need to adopt it.
Correct.
So for example, induction cooktops, people were having it outside India 20-25 years back. But we indigenized it to Indian needs. Okay, the menu system, you need to have those kind of menus, what kind of cooking Indian consumers do, change those menus, change the settings over there. So all these things need to be done. You can't just bring that product from there and here and launch it.
It's not a straight jacket. I also wanted to ask you, the consumer trend that we are seeing is that also with restaurant food becoming so easily accessible, have you seen any shift in behavior, or you feel that home cooking will obviously play its course?
See, what I believe is definitely home cooking is not going to go away. Okay, eating outside might increase the frequency from 1 to 2 to 3 in a week or so, but home cooking definitely is not going to go. But definitely what it happens is the wear and tear of the appliances go down. So maybe, the replacement cycle might increase because of that, because you are cooking less over there. But I believe, but there is a larger cohort of audience that are getting into, home kitchen as well. In fact, I don't know, you would have seen our campaign, Let's Get Cooking.
Yeah, I'm going to come to that.
Yeah, so that was a pure, insight wherein, we want to own the kitchen space. Mm-hmm. We want people to come inside the kitchen. So it's not a haunting place that people should fear about, okay, or you have to be a master in doing it. Okay, you can have your imperfections, but you enjoy it, because what you make from your hand is the best thing that you can eat.
True that. I want to now move to a more consumer-led question, wherein consumers love to give feedback. Everybody's giving reviews. So any interesting feedback or input you got from the consumer which you applied to the business and it made a difference?
So one thing, one of the insights, for example, this induction cooktop I was talking about, okay, this is the continuous pain point of a consumer, because in a household, if you really see, whoever cooks, so if he or she is going out of the kitchen, so he will tell the other person, इतना कुछ whistle होगा, उसको sim कर देना, उसको बंद कर देना and all that stuff. Okay, and that's always a pain point. Okay, so as a person people who don't cook, so for them it's a big pain point, over there, and generally you miss it, and then you hear on it.
Yes.
So then we came up with that concept, inside. So let's make it easier for the consumer so that they can control their cooking themselves rather than depending on anyone else. So we came up with this, induction cooktop, wherein it can count whistles. So you can set how many whistles, 3-4 whistles, you count it and it will switch off.
So that was the feedback you got from a consumer and then you applied it.
That's right.
That's brilliant. There's also an emotional angle to cooking. So you have to create that conversation with your consumer in such a way that they build a bond with you. Clearly, you already built that. How are you managing to maintaining that relationship? Because it's almost that consumer is in your house now. You're almost like family members. But then family members also tend to have some differences at times. So how are you managing that piece?
No, definitely. See, in fact, as a brand, I believe, we have been working on the emotional connect with the consumers. That's the thing. I believe the line of, jo BV se kare pyar, Prestige se kare car came up. Okay.
And you're still using it?
Yeah. So we transitioned it to, from BV to Apno. Because more and more, male are also keen, and it's not only about wife, but it is about, Apno. Apno can be anything. It can be, friends, families, anyone over there. So we expanded that, but that emotional connect still is there over there. So the communication that you create, see, one is on the logical angle that, you are on safety, convenience, everything, but how you relate it to the consumer in a very emotional angle, That's definitely one thing that we are continually harping on. So this Let's Get Cooking again, coming to that campaign, that was another one where we emotionally tried to connect with people that don't fear.
Yeah.
Come into the kitchen, try out new things. It's all good.
True. Yeah, considering we have electric scooters catching fire, this is definitely safer.
Yeah. So you have chimneys for that.
Now, I want to also talk about digital conversations, wherein this whole space of new audiences that have emerged on digital channels. How has modern marketing changed for you? Where you can show me or tell our audiences how you're leveraging digital channels and how you're using data and analytics to probably increase further engagement.
But definitely digitization is a big boom. In fact, I have been a firm believer of data right from the beginning. With an engineering background, that has been in my mind. Okay, I believe in data more than anything else. Okay, so this digitization has actually helped a lot. Okay, so you can understand the continuous purchasing cycle of a consumer, from how he has gone, what he has served, where he purchased, okay, where is he right now. So we are collecting data because, as I talked about, we have various touch points with the consumers. So one is 800, close to 800, exclusive stores that we have. We have close to, 1 lakh bill cuts that we happen every month. Okay, so that's kind of data that you get from the consumers. You have, service calls over there, 1 lakh plus consumers calling us onto the service center every month over there. So you have that database over there. People coming to your website. Okay, so we look at all these data, trying to create a database over there so that we can understand their purchasing behavior and nudge them, on the purchasing life cycle journey for them over there. So definitely that's helping a lot, and lots of, I would say it's still on a WIP, okay, because in this I don't believe anyone can be a very expert, because as the technology is evolving, you get to know more and more other things over there. So you keep on evolving in this journey, but that journey has started for us definitely.
Good you said this, because this takes me to the term omnichannel marketing. Considering you had brick and mortar stores across the country, and now with this new cohort that's available on digital channels, how are you balancing your retail and your digital channels? Is omnichannel the way to go?
Yeah. See, in fact, if you really see a consumer purchasing cycle, okay, it switches around, offline to online very quickly. Okay, it is not that. In fact, one of the study which I was reading last month, 60% of the consumers, who have purchased offline have searched on online.
Oh,
okay.
So they're doing the research.
Though they are doing the research, looking at the rating, looking at the price points.
True.
Then going to the offline store. So you can't be a brand that you are into one channel and not there in another channel. People are looking across. Okay, they themselves are not able to comprehend how they are switching, but it is happening.
Yeah, so that was, so adding to what you're saying, so basically omni-channel, if you can take our audiences, what would be a typical consumer journey for someone who's trying to purchase a kitchen appliance in your ecosystem, how would you probably track that?
So, as I talked about, people are buying from various sources over there. So, in fact, we are creating an ecosystem wherein, the consumer journey, for example, if he goes to a PXL store over there and sees so we are creating an ecosystem wherein, because everything can't be stacked up into a store over there. So we are creating an endless aisle system over there wherein, there's a tab out there. The consumers can surf around the products which are not displayed over there. They can, place an order and that will get delivered to their house. On another front is, they surf around the website over there, they book it, and maybe the nearest store will actually deliver them. So that is how also we are trying to engage our channel partners of other channels also into this, because they will get alienated otherwise.
Right.
When you go into more of D2D website and all, we can't alienate the other channels over there, because they have also invested and believed into the brand. So that is one thing we always keep in mind, and so that's why when I talk about I talked about consumer and customer both into the center over there, because customer is, for me, is also very important. If he is, because he is your brand ambassador at the store to the consumers. If he doesn't talk good about your brand, definitely whatever you say on the TVC or a print will not help you. That's at least what I believe into. So we get into trusting issues with them. So for example, you have we have a constant MOP for across the channels. So you buy a cooker of a particular size and a particular material. So across the channels in our stores, in Amazon or in general trade dealer, you will get the same price. So that is one, we constantly work on.
That's important.
Over there, because otherwise the trust will never get built up over there. Number two is wherever critical, we are getting into a DMDC approach, which is, a different model, different channel, so that, they doesn't fight with each other. And when we say a different model, it's not only, just a packaging change or a color change, but it's a complete spec change or a mold change, so that, they can't relate it over there. Because for example, consumers in e-commerce will have a different requirements over there as against the consumer who is walking into a store. A consumer is walking into a store, he is completely sold out with my brand. Okay, he is in fact looking at some innovation and a premium products right now, rather than a consumer who is surfing on an Amazon or a Flipkart over there. So accordingly, we touch around which products to be displayed where, what to be talked about over there, which categories of models we need to be there. So you will have more and more exclusive models for online into a opening price point value for money products, rather than in exclusive stores you will have more premium products over there.
Very interesting you say that, because this category is also a touch and feel category. You want to hold the cooker or you want to hold the kitchen appliance, because you have to be comfortable gripping it, because you have to use it on a daily basis. The weight is important. So online definitely is there to make them aware and probably check the price, but then the touch and feel has to be there. They have to be accessible to product in some way, because Amazon allows that. E-commerce brands allow you to return the product if you don't like it. So how are you navigating that part of the conversation?
So see, in fact, because we are into 30 plus categories, honestly, each of the categories is different on this angle. Okay, some categories, for example, small domestic appliances, people are okay to buy it online. It just has become like a mobile over there. A kettle you want to buy, induction cooktop you want to buy, air fryer you want to buy. In fact, that has selling more in e-commerce channel rather than a general trade over there. But definitely categories like, as you rightly said, cookers, example, a kind of a chimney. Okay, a hob. Okay, so these are categories, or gas stoves. Definitely over there the adoption of e-commerce is lesser than as compared to the other categories over there. So each category has its own journey across, because the needs of the consumer, again, touch and feel, as we talked about. Some categories have a touch and feel need. People want to see it. For example, cookers, people want to see the weight, the durability, before buying. Unless he is a repeat consumer. Okay, so because at the end, what is happening in cookers also, it is more and more becoming in e-com, just because there are only two players which take 60-70% of the share of the Indian market. Okay, and people have used those cookers, majority of the consumers over there, so they know that touch and feel over there. So it's just based on the convenience and the prices, they just take it online over there.
I'm going to now double click on Let's Get Cooking. Basically, cooking is almost like art. You compare chefs with artists, because it's all about the right proportions, the right amount of salt. Tell us about how you've been leveraging this channel, and also how you're looking at engaging with influencers, because there's so many home chefs that have come up, and some of them are really, really strong and have a very niche following. So can you talk about how you're connecting with this new lifestyle audience that has emerged, and what are your thinking behind all of these campaigns?
See, you are right. See, what is happening, more and more influencers are becoming your great brand ambassador as against any other celebrity, because it's more relatable. Okay, people don't, look at a big celebrity or, working on a kitchen, at least in this category, okay, and talking about that product, okay. Though sometimes it helps, definitely, I believe 50 years back when we came up with, Abhi and Ash ad, definitely it has helped up.
I was going to ask you on that.
Yeah, so it has helped us a lot over there. So that got us into one, men helping their wives in kitchen. Number two, it's safe, and number two, it brought us that premiumness to the brand over there. So you have certain, things that you look at while working with celebrities over there. So we have been continuously working. Last one was Vidya Balan, which we have worked along with her. But definitely there are influences which you can't deny on, because there is where, platform wherein, you can actually talk about the functioning of the product, because they deal with your product, they cook into a product, okay. So people can see that rather than just saying, it's a good air fryer, okay, but what it is, how to cook, what all dishes can be cooked in that, okay. So people want to see that, and believability is more in influencers because they have been following it up. So that's a big piece for us. So we have been dealing with hundreds of influencers every year with more than 1,000+ posts every year, and we are working on that. And coming back to this, you talked about Let's Get Cooking. So definitely the idea was to make the brand relevant to the younger cohort. Okay, so we want to shift from my mom's brand to my brand.
So you're catering to the new
catering
generation.
to the new generation over there. So we want to invite them to the kitchen. Okay, don't think it's something you should fear about. Come inside, cook, because we believe as a leader that we should own the kitchen space over there. So what is anything anybody talks about kitchen, we have to be there over there.
You spoke about your engineering stint, and that gets you excited with data and analytics. Tell me, how are you looking at AI and IoT? How is it reshaping consumer experiences? What's your take on it, and how are you using it?
IoT, I would say, still is a niche currently in India. So definitely it's a trend, but I don't know how much adoption will happen. It will all, honestly, it will depend on the price point that it comes into. So in here also we have got into IoT technology. So we have smart kettles, we have chimneys, we have rice cookers which can be controlled through the mobile. In fact, recently last year we launched a chimney, is a safe sense chimney, wherein whenever there is a leakage of the gas or something, okay, it detects it, the chimney automatically turns on, notification goes to your mobile that there is a leakage of the gas over there, so you need to attend it over there. So those things we are working on technology, but still I would say it's a very at a nascent stage.
Yeah.
In terms of AI, definitely it's fast evolving, I would say, and it's currently it is helping the marketing a lot in terms of generating the data over there. So analytics can be felt good. You can nudge consumers at various channels, various social medias and all over there. You get those insights through those AIs over there. So it's more and more how, but problem is with so much coming in, okay, people talking it about more, it's very important where you need to get into over there. People will come out and will give you various options over there, but you need to know what you want to get into. So it's a decision making has become a big challenge over there. So in terms of generating the creative asset creations for the creatives and all, AI is helping a lot.
Sure.
So you don't have to have a full-fledged production shoot to have generating a product launch AV or a TVC or a digital media. So you can just make it yourself over there through the agency over there. So all those things are definitely helping the brand.
I read an interesting quote that data is the new gold, but if it's not flowing, it's of no use. So do you see that flowing in your own ecosystem?
Yeah, we are trying to wherever as I talked about the consumer. In fact, in last 3 to 5 years, we have more than 5 million consumer database which we have generated across the channels and all. So we are trying to use that. Okay, help them in terms of their journey across. Okay, help them in terms of we are creating a smart chef community over there for all the consumers. So we nudge them with all the recipes. For example, a consumer, if he takes a particular air fryer, for example, okay, so we'll send him a recipes all across immediately to him or her over there. So we are taking them to that journey so that they interact with the brand more and more. They can post their cooking videos over there, so that it becomes more and more engaging rather than just honestly, I believe rather than having more views and impressions, engagement is the most important thing to have for a market.
Yeah, that's a very strong metric.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the future. Looking ahead, what is your vision of TTK Prestige? And next to 5 years, more new consumers will emerge, new channels may emerge. How are you looking at managing the future now?
I won't get into numbers definitely, but
Sure.
definitely in terms of aspiration, definitely we are looking at want to become a number one leader in the major of the core categories.
Right.
So we are clear number one leaders in cookwares, gas stoves and induction cooktops. But there are categories where we are among the top 3. So we are working towards becoming a leader in those other core categories as well. And when I say leaders, I won't only talk about numbers over there. It's something I believe that your brand should be such into that category. People should aspire to have that brand. That is how I believe. They should. It's not about numbers. Okay, numbers, profit, top line, you will get definitely.
That will organically
automatically come. But if the consumer should aspire, they should feel
brand love.
and they should talk about it. Okay, they should feel proud when they say I own Prestige air fryer or a chimney or a mixer grinder or So that's the aspiration that I have. They know that we should have it for all our core categories.
I'm sure they'll continue having it.
Yeah.
My last question to sum up, we also have young audiences who are watching this and some young marketers who are aspiring to become a marketer just like you. Any 2 points or any 3 cents of wisdom that you would want to impart?
On that front, I would say, only thing is, 2 things which I earlier also talked about, be as close to the consumer and customer, and execution excellence, I believe, It's not only about listening and inciting, but, how to execute it well. That's also very critical. You can have different ideas, as I talked about one of the examples which I had a learning. You can have good ideas, you have good insights, but if you don't execute it well, that's also a problem. So you need to have a balance of both, and that can happen only when you are on to the market. Be close more and more to your consumers and customers. Interact with them the max. Sitting in office will not help you at all.
Awesome. So nice to hear all of this. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best, and you continue cooking up some storms in the appliance industry. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anil Gurnani's leadership at TTK Prestige reflects a deep understanding of consumers, a commitment to innovation, and the ability to seamlessly blend traditional values with modern aspirations. Under his guidance, TTK Prestige continues to not just serve kitchens across India, but to reimagine them, turning every meal into an experience and every appliance into a trusted companion. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for our next episode.